Here's what's coming up on the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan.
That's actually true, Mark. A lot of people don't understand that there is a rule in the IRS code that allows you to take control of your monies inside of your 401k as long as you're 59 and a half or older, or if you've left employment.
Usually when they think they're conservative, when they come to us, they've been to another broker or they've been on the internet, they think conservative means they can lose very little money. Well, conservative in the industry means that if you are conservative, you're willing to take a 20 to 25% loss factor in your portfolio.
So that's probably the number one job we do here at our firm, is helping people create that monthly dependable income flow that's going to last for as long as they live.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey, thanks for tuning in this week.
We got 30 minutes of great information just for you.
Don't go anywhere. The show starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement True or False. Gentlemen, I have some great questions. Dan, I'm going to begin with you. At 59 and a half, you can do an in-service tax-free transfer of your company 401k plan into your own self-directed IRA. True or false?
That's actually true, Mark. A lot of people don't understand that there is a rule in the IRS code that allows you to take control of your monies inside of your 401k as long as you're 59 and a half or older, or if you've left employment. But let's just focus on the 59 and a half or older. A lot of people right now are sitting at their employer's 401k. They have $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million there, and they worry about it so much it's their largest asset. And they know they're going to retire in a couple years. The problem is they know how much volatility they have because the investment options typically are very limited, or if there are a lot of investment options, they have to now pick these things on their own, which means they're going to possibly make the wrong choice. So they actually can take all or a majority of their 401k out. The 401k company will then transfer that to an IRA for them. So if they do it properly, if they use the right professional advisor, they'll help them get the 401k out over to an IRA. There's no taxes on that transaction. Now that IRA can be invested in anything they want it to be invested as long as it's a legal IRA investment. So we can go from a 401k that might have 50% risk right now, literally into a portfolio that might have 5% risk, 10% risk, or like we talked about on other shows, a 0% risk plan for them, which if you're going to retire in 2 years, isn't that what you'd want?
And also, with a 401k plan, you don't have a lot of management expertise behind the scenes helping you make the right choices. And as Dan mentioned, you're very limited. By taking control of those 401k assets, you can actually develop a plan, prepare you for retirement, give you a multitude of choices, de-risk your portfolio, as Dan mentioned, and also put you in a position to really be in front of retirement rather than behind retirement.
Well, think about it. What if someone's 62, they want to retire at 65, and they have their money at risk in their 401k in all stock funds, which is typical, and they're planning to take income out at 65, and now the market crashes. What happens?
They lose half their money, and their retirement's not going to work.
So it really sounds to me, gentlemen, like a no-brainer that if this is you out there, to give a call in and get some more information about taking care of this.
Definitely.
My next question, Jim, is for you, and it is, all fees are described in detail on your monthly or quarterly statements. True or false?
Not true, not true, not true. You're lucky if you even have your advisor fee on your monthly statement. Most statements that we review when we're doing second opinions for people that are coming into our office, we can't even find the advisor fee, and we're in the business. But you just don't have the advisor fee. And most people don't even know what that fee is. I mean, they think it's maybe 1%, 1.5%, but they really don't know what that fee is. Well, besides the advisor fee, you have other fees that are hidden inside your portfolio that do not show up on your statement. They reduce your rate of return. It's a hidden fee. It's still a fee. You have mutual fund fees. You potentially have money management fees. You have trading costs inside the mutual fund. Not trading costs when they sell a mutual fund, but inside the portfolio. Those fees come out. You don't see them. It reduces your return. It is a fee.
And
So
here's
somebody
Sounds to
knows
me
their
like
fees.
this isn't an accident either.
It's not. The financial industry is a huge industry, one of the largest industries in the world. They don't want people to know the fees. And most people think they're paying 1%. Well, if you're paying 1% on a $3 million portfolio, you're paying $30,000. In reality, there's a high probability you're not even close to 1%. You could be closer to 3%. 3% on $3 million means $90,000, $60,000 more fees per year than you thought. Well, what if you're looking now, $60,000 over a 20-year time period? These people are 70, and we think 90-year life expectancy. That means they're going to pay $1.2 million more in fees than they should over the next 20 years unless they do something about it right now. We tell people, you can't do anything about all those fees you paid in the past. You better forget about those, but you better start paying the lowest amount of fees you can now going forward.
And there's ways to determine your fees. We actually have outside third-party research companies that we utilize, that we take the client's portfolio and we send this information off, and we can actually determine these fees. We can actually show the client, these are your fees. The goal is, we can't get rid of fees, right? But can we reduce the fees? And that's the goal, so that when we remodel the portfolio, we do the same exercise, and can we get those fees down?
And
can we save the client 1 or 2%?
No, we can. And what happens is they know their fees before they go into any of the investments with us.
Yes.
So think about how that would feel then.
And we put it all in writing for the client in advance.
Jim, Dan, thanks so much. If ever there was a time to give a call, it's this, and see if your fees can't be reduced. Give us a call right now in the office. Go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, I'm Dan Ahmed. My partner Jim Files and I are co-founders of Peak Financial Freedom Group. We are proud sponsors of the show. As investment advisor representatives of our own RIA, we are legally bound by a fiduciary duty to our advisory clients. Specifically, we owe our advisory clients an affirmative duty of utmost good faith, requiring us to provide full and full disclosure of all material facts and obligating us to employ reasonable care to avoid anything misleading. We design customized written retirement income plans for retirees and soon-to-be retirees. If you've saved a lot of money for retirement and don't want to lose it, don't want it to run out, and don't want to make a mistake with it, stay tuned. You're going to love the show. We want to help you protect your assets against large stock market losses, earn competitive returns without taking excessive risk, and create dependable monthly income that will last for as long as you live. Our goal is to help you stop worrying about your money so much by building you a customized written retirement income plan. We put everything in writing. And here's the best news. We will not charge you for your plan. You will never feel any obligation or pressure to work with us. It's always your choice. But if you do decide to become our client and you're looking for some growth without taking excessive risk, we get paid advisory fees on the money we invest for you. If on some of your funds you're looking for protection against stock market losses and need dependable lifetime income, and we use an annuity as part of your plan, we are paid commissions. That's why we don't have to charge you additional planning fees to create your customized, comprehensive written retirement income plan. Before you invest any money with us, we will tell you all the fees you will pay in writing. We believe in transparency. And after we build your plan, you won't worry about your money so much. Sit back and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement Roundtable. Gentlemen, we're talking about turning your portfolio into dependable monthly lifetime paychecks. And as we said earlier, arguably the number one concern for pre-retirees and retirees is having enough money to last their entire lifetime. So those paychecks are super important, aren't they?
100%, because once you retire, you're no longer getting your salary that you depended on to provide you that monthly income. Now you have to use your asset base to create your own monthly paychecks, and it's scary because people just don't know how to do it. So that's probably the number one job we do here at our firm, is helping people create that monthly dependable income flow that's going to last for as long as they live. It's key, and whether you have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million of assets, everyone worries about how in the heck do I use this asset base, my portfolio, to create this income that's going to last for as long as I live.
I mean, it sounds good because they've listened for years to propaganda from the financial service industry. You can take off 4% or 5% and never run out of money. But it's not their money, it's your money. And I promise you, when you move into retirement, a psychological change happens. Number one, you're not doing what you've done for 30 or 40 years. And number two, you have to take those assets you've saved. You've not been an investor, you've been a saver for 30 or 40 years, and you have to change the mentality. You say, I'm going to use those assets for income. And all of a sudden, go back to December of last year, the market drops 19% on Christmas Eve. If you're pulling money out of an asset class and it dropped 19%, you're going to have a lot of anxiety. So it's really, really important to understand what asset classes you actually choose in order to draw income from, and are there asset classes you can choose where you won't run out of income.
You know, and as we like to say, it's good to sleep at night, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not have to worry about that. If you've got that, Dan, as you like to say, that written retirement plan that explains to you the entire time that you'll be alive, here's what you're going to get every month. So let me ask you this, because that is a big transition. How do we get, when someone comes in, their mind away from saving to now receiving paychecks? Because it would seem like, hey, we can put that plan together, but at times, it's difficult to get them to change that turn that switch on, isn't it?
Well, you think about it, all our clients have been extremely successful at doing one thing, saving money. That's why they become our clients. They save, they save, they save. Month after month, they end up having a lot of money saved now in this pot of assets. They just don't know what to do with that pot of assets. So the key now will be to build a plan that shows how they're going to use this pot of assets to create the retirement lifestyle that they want, to make sure they never run out of money. And it comes down to creating as much income that's dependable on a guaranteed basis that will last for as long as they live. But like you talked about, most important, put it in writing so they now have a written plan that also now guarantees their income, and that's the way you help people finally stop worrying about their money, which then allows them to sleep at night, like you mentioned.
Hey, let me piggyback on that. I know that depending on where you are in the country, there are more of the engineer types that they're DIY investors, right? Yep. And you know what? They've done a darn good job at accumulating all these dollars. Now, there's this question mark. I did a great job in saving all this. Right. I really do need to, if for no other reason, get a second opinion from someone who's taken thousands of people through retirement. And I know there's a number of those folks watching today who've said, man, I did a great job in bringing me to here. But I need a little assistance on figuring out how to disperse this well.
And I believe the majority of people need that assistance because they've done a great job because they've been dollar cost averaging into their retirement plans for 30 years, right? The last time we've had a market crash has been 11 years. People have forgotten about it, right?
Yeah.
They become very complacent.
11 years ago.
All of a sudden, you're approaching retirement, you're in retirement, and you lose 30, 40, 50% of your money, it's going to change your life. It's going to radically alter the way you thought you would retire. So it's very, very important to seek out a professional, not just to invest your money, that's secondary, to build a plan so you know how to invest your money.
Hey, let's wrap this up. I got about a minute left here. What are some other things that people need to consider about turning that portfolio into a regular monthly check that lasts a lifetime?
I think the number one thing to consider is, why did they save this money for in the first place? When they started at age 30 saving money, why did they save it? It wasn't to worry about this big pot of money when they turned 65. It's to create income that will now enhance their life or the lives of their family. So that's why they saved the money. It was to use it, which is hard because they saved it. And now they have to be talked into that it's okay to spend it.
Yeah. Dan, Jim, thanks so much. This is a really important topic. Do you know if your portfolio is set up for lifetime monthly checks for the balance of your lifetime? Hey, if this is something that you want more information about, pick up the phone right now and give us a call or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Are you worried about taking too much risk, paying high fees, creating dependable monthly income, your money running out? You can stop worrying about your money by meeting with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. Call right now to receive your free, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review that includes a total fee audit, a risk stress test showing your potential losses, a retirement income analysis showing how long your money will last, and the steps to create a customized written retirement income plan. Our clients typically have between $1 million to $20 million of assets, but if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we will meet with you free of charge to see if we can possibly help. You'll get free educational copies of Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success we co-wrote with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and our beautiful, inspiring 100 Shades of Financial Freedom. So don't wait. Call the phone number on your screen right now. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome to this week's segment of Peak University. Today we're going to talk about a subject that we think is very important to the average retiree, the people listening and watching right now. In fact, we think it's so important we wrote a big section of this in our new book with Jack Canfield. He's the guy who's the co-creator for Chicken Soup for the Soul that sold over 500 million copies worldwide. Our new book is titled Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success. And the whole key of today's lesson is going to be how you should now start to understand risk and how can you now make your money have the amount of risk you want in your portfolio versus this unknown amount that you probably currently have and you probably don't want. So Jim, why don't you then go through what happens if someone has a $2.5 million portfolio, and how do we now figure out exactly how much risk they want to take and should be taking based on where they're at right now in retirement?
Oh, Dan, you and I know the most important thing in the planning process is understanding the risk the client has in their current portfolio when they come to see us, and how can we deleverage that risk? How can we reduce that risk? So we do a risk stress test. We actually have outside research engines that will actually take the portfolio and stress test us and tell us how much risk they have in the portfolio. So in our example here, if you have $2.5 million, we have this tachometer here to make it a little bit easier for you to understand.
Well, does everybody know what 0 to 10 means?
Yeah.
And when 10's red, does everyone know?
Yeah, it's very simple to understand. And then what you see here is, are you an ultra-conservative investor? Are you a conservative investor? Are you moderate, aggressive, or are you speculative? And what that really means, if you're ultra-conservative, that means you don't want to take any risk whatsoever with your money, right? If you're conservative, that means you'll take up to a 10% loss in your portfolio. Moderate, aggressive means that you're going to take as much risk as the market itself, and speculative means that you're taking more risk than the general market itself. So Dan, continue on with explaining the slide here.
Sure. So you said aggressive is a 40% potential loss. That's because in 2008, if you look at what the S&P 500 index did, what it lost, it went down by about 40%. So we're saying if you're invested in a 100% stock portfolio or a 100% stock mutual fund portfolio, you have about the same risk as the stock market, which is about 40%. So you have to be willing to take that risk. Well, we then have to go from what's something that's not personal, because percentages aren't personal,
right,
but your money is personal, right? Your money, your dollars are personal. So you have to look at someone who's ultra conservative. They come in with a $2.5 million portfolio and they say, I don't want to lose anything, and then no one will help them do that. We will help them put a plan together that will have no risk if that's what they want, because it's not our money, it's their money. So if we have a 0% risk portfolio created and the market crashes 40%, they're going to lose 0 in their portfolio, meaning they have no loss, and at the end of that time period, they're still going to have $2.5 million, which is what they wanted. We don't design the portfolios based on what we want, we based it based on what they want. So what if someone then, Jim, says, well, I'm conservative and I'm okay with up to a 10% loss. What does that mean then?
Well, I'm going to answer that two ways, Dan. Usually when they think they're conservative, when they come to us, they've been to another broker or they've been on the internet, they think conservative means they can lose very little money. Well, conservative in the industry means that if you are conservative, you're willing to take a 20 to 25% loss factor in your portfolio. We think conservative is 10%. In other words, if you say you're conservative, you don't want to take more than a 10% loss factor in your overall portfolio and how we design it.
And what does that mean if they would lose 10% on a $2.5 million
They would lose $250,000, which still is a lot of money when you put it in dollars and cents, right?
So 10% sounds little, $250,000 sounds huge, because
right.
How long did it take the average person to save $250,000?
30 or 40 years, typically.
It took a long time. So we ask, how long did it take, and do you really want to be in that position? So that would be the maximum amount of risk we'd want anyone to take inside their portfolio right now that we design, because we can conceivably make up a 10% loss. It's going to be very, very difficult to make up more than that. And most of you right now are sitting, if you're really, really conservative, on about a 25% loss. Most of you right now are sitting on about a 40% loss, and you don't even know it. Well, if you then end up being in that 20% risk category, you then could lose 20% of $2.5 million, you would actually lose $500,000. And you have to ask yourself, how would that feel right now that I'm retired? And it would not feel good. You'd probably freak out, have anxiety, wouldn't be able to sleep, just worry, because you'd only have $2 million of your $2.5 million. And it's tough to make back that $500,000 gain. What if they lose 40%? What happens?
We would lose 40%. In other words, you're taking as much risk as the market. In our example, you would be down approximately $1 million in your portfolio. And a lot of you say, well, I'd never take 40% risk. Well, I can tell you, we do risk stress tests every single day for people seeking a second opinion from our firm. And I can tell you there are hundreds of people that are taking that level of risk that we've interviewed and done risk stress tests on. So,
and these people are 60, 65, and 70,
yes,
75, and they're still taking that much risk.
But they don't know how much risk they have, Dan. They have a portfolio that they think may be diversified, diversified, but they have assets that are risky sometimes in the general market itself.
Exactly. And you ask anybody out there, everyone watching right now, do you really want to put yourself in a position that if you have $2.5 million, that you would actually lose $1 million? And the answer has to be emphatically no. So if you have any questions about this, want to try to find any way possible to reduce your risk, just give our office a call or go ahead on our website. You can gain a lot of valuable information right there.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Do you have an actual plan, or do you just receive statements from where your money is invested? Too few retirees and pre-retirees don't have a plan and are not prepared for retirement. A great way to get a clear, written retirement plan is to meet with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. If a clear, written retirement plan is something you want, be one of the first 5 callers right now, and you'll receive our Peak Retirement Navigator review. Here's what you'll receive from your Peak Retirement Navigator. Number 1, a fee audit exposing your direct and hidden fees inside your portfolio. Number 2, a risk report showing you how much you could lose in a market decline. Number 3, a risk analysis to protect your investments from large stock market losses. And number 4, an income plan showing you how much income you will need in retirement. So don't wait. Call the phone number on the screen right now for your no-cost, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review, which includes your Retirement Survival Toolkit. You have nothing to lose, there is no pressure, there is no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Jim, I'm really excited about this week's segment of We Fix Your Money. And it's because it gives us a chance to show all the details that go on behind the scenes of how we create a comprehensive written retirement income plan to help people feel more comfortable. So we're going to look at a hypothetical couple. We're going to call them Sam and Kate. We call this the case study of the week. And let's just pretend like Sam's 71, he was a retired underwater expert. So he dove for a living. Kate, she's age 65, she's a retired doctor. And they've worked their lives, they worked really hard to get where they're at. They retired last year, neither of them have a pension, let's assume in this case study. Joint Social Securities are $38,000 a year. They got a lot of money. They saved almost $4 million, and they have about $100,000 in the bank. So they have about a total of $4 million. They've done a great job. They succeeded accumulating assets, but they're worried about a lot of stuff. Typically, like most people are, especially the more money you have, the more you worry about it. So what were some of their worries?
Well, number 1, they want to replace their paycheck, right? So they were worried about how do you do that. Number 2, they wanted to replace $10,000 of monthly income in order to survive based on what they wanted to achieve in their retirement. They wanted to reduce the risk they have of losing money in a market crash and not having enough dollars each month to spend on what they wanted to do. And some of the additional items, Dan?
Well, they, of course, like everybody watching, is worried about running out of money in retirement. We just have that as a fear. It's a baseline fear we all have. Having to change their current lifestyle if they do run out of money or suffer a big loss. Worried about paying too much in income taxes, excessive fees, and they love their kids. They literally want to leave a lot of money to their 2 kids if they can. They've had a broker for 20 years, a really good friend from college, and they think the fees, because they've been told, were 1%, but they never had a written plan. So they've had a really good friend doing their planning for 20 years. They don't have anything writing. They don't have a plan, and they know right now they have to have one. So what would be the first step with a couple like this? People that are watching now, what will we start with?
Well, for every single person that comes in, the first thing we have to do is establish the amount of risk they have in their portfolio. Because none of these planning techniques work if you lose a bunch of money in a market crash. And people have a lot more risk than they really think they have, and we can prove that based on everybody we see that comes in for a second opinion. So we use an outside company. They have resources in order to determine the hypothetical risk a client has inside their portfolio. So what we do is we provide this information to the company. They came back and they give us a risk profile. In this couple's example, they had a 42.8% risk factor, which means if we have another 2008 financial crisis, they potentially could lose about 42% of their money. This was unacceptable to them. They've had an advisor for a long period of time, and they had no idea they had this level of risk. They could lose potentially almost $1.7 million in a market crash, and they would need about a 75% rate of return just to get back to even if that occurred. When we remodeled their portfolio, we actually were able to reduce the risk down to 7.6%, which was a dramatic reduction. And rather than losing $1.6 or $1.7 million, we potentially got the risk factor down to about $300,000. It's still a lot of money. They still are losing money in this example because we have money in securities, but based on past data, we're able to at least come up with a baseline of hypothetical information and give them comfort of knowing the numbers. And rather than trying to generate a 75% rate of return to get these clients back to even, we only needed about an 8% rate of return.
Makes a lot more sense
Yeah.
for them based on where they're at their ages, needing income from the assets and wanting to leave money to the beneficiaries. They shouldn't be taking as much risk as they were taking. That's just too much. To lose $1.7 million, they can't sit there and say they're comfortable.
Right.
People watching right now, they can't say, oh yeah, I'm comfortable losing 43% of my money. It just doesn't work that way.
Nope.
So next step we have to do is put together an income plan that'll show they're going to have plenty of money to spend, and then ultimately calculate out how much they're going to be able to leave to the kids down the road. But we try to make it simple. So we're going to put all of their financial data on one page. So we know money's complicated. We know you probably don't understand a lot about your money. We're going to help you understand it by summarizing everything on one page. We're going to show you at the top of the sheet exactly where you're going to put your assets so that we now have an allocation that meets that type of risk measure that you stated before. Then we're going to show for the next 30 years, all the way through Sam's age 100, Kate's age 94, where their income's going to come from on an annual basis, where each income source comes from. So you can look in the year 2018, the second red oval, all the way over to the right-hand side, they're going to have $206,000 of income going on for as long as they live. And then if you go to 2023, we've increased the income slightly to $210,000 as far as this projection. So it shows they're going to have enough money on a monthly basis and an annual basis where they don't have to worry about it anymore. And if they just earn about a 4% rate of return on their assets, they're going to leave as much money as they have now to their beneficiaries, even though they've used so much. So how does that make someone like this feel?
Well, first of all, when they can see all this information in writing and it's simple to understand and comprehend, they feel great. Also, being able to really look at your risk from a different perspective and try to get that risk down was very, very important for them. And when they get this information, most clients are elated. They're dumbfounded because we can make it really, really simple for them to comprehend.
Exactly. So you look at a couple like this, could be like you. We generate $200,000 of income per year. It's probably going to equate to about $13,500, almost $14,000 per month of net after-tax income after federal and state taxes they get to spend, which is enough to basically allow them to live the retirement of their dreams.
Right.
So if you're like Sam and Kate, you feel like you really would like a comprehensive written retirement income plan, just feel free. Give us a call at our office. We can sit down with you. We can find out if we can build that type of plan for you.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Are you worried about taking too much risk, paying high fees, creating dependable monthly income, your money running out? You can stop worrying about your money by meeting with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. Call right now to receive your free, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review that includes a total fee audit, a risk stress test showing your potential losses, a retirement income analysis showing how long your money will last, and the steps to create a customized written retirement income plan. Our clients typically have between $1 million to $20 million of assets, but if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we will meet with you free of charge to see if we can possibly help. You'll get free educational copies of Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success we co-wrote with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and our beautiful, inspiring 100 Shades of Financial Freedom. So don't wait. Call the phone number on your screen right now. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey guys, great show this week. Thanks so much for tuning in.
If you have any questions or need any help at all, feel free. Give us a call at our office or go to our website.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
The preceding program is sponsored by Peak Financial Freedom Group.